Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we are strapping in to navigate what feels like a global earthquake, but it's currently disguised as, well, European regulation.
That's a good way to put it. We're talking about the EUAI Act, the EUAIA.
And our mission for this deep dive is simple. We're taking expert guidance, a lot of it aimed at international companies, in places like South Africa.
Right.
And we're boiling it down. We're extracting what really matters for anyone, anywhere, who sells a product, supports a client, or even just builds tech that's used in the EU.
And if you're listening and you fall into any of those buckets, you really need to tune in. Because the core tension here, the thing we're tackling, is this dangerous assumption that the EUAIA is happening over there.
Right, that it's someone else's problem.
Exactly. Too many businesses outside the EU think this is just a legal issue for, the big tech giants headquartered in Europe. Our sources are unanimous on this.
And what are they saying?
That assumption is going to lead to lost deals in the next 18 months. It's already starting.
Wow. Okay, so that completely reframes the risk. It's not some potential fine years down the road.
No.
It's about whether you can even access the market, like today.
It is. Our sources are making it really clear. This is not a legal technicality. This is a new global commercial standard being set in real time.
So if you can't provide evidence of how you govern your AI,
you're being quietly removed from vendor shortlists right now. It moves the whole conversation from what cool new innovation do you have to can you pass our compliance check?
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So let's start with that central idea our sources highlighted. The big pivot point is 2026. What actually happens then? Why is it such a high-stakes commercial shift?
The key shift is what your European buyers will start demanding in every single tender, every contract renewal.
Okay.
So today, you might sell a sophisticated software service. And whole conversations about speed, efficiency, the promises of innovation your AI offers.
The sales pitch.
The sales pitch. Come 2026, those same buyers, who are now under their own regulatory pressure, they're not going to be asking about promises. They'll be demanding proof.
Proof of governance.
Proof of governance. That's the central commercial squeeze right there.
So let's make that concrete. If I'm a software provider in, say, Cape Town, and I have a great service that does automated credit scoring, what does proof of governance actually mean to that buyer?
It means auditable evidence.
Yeah.
They need to show their internal regulators, their own stakeholders, that the AI they're using, which is your product, is managed responsibly.
They need to know the details.
All of them. Was this system tested for bias? Is there human oversight? Can we trace the data flows? If you can't give a credible, documented answer to that,
the deal just stalls.
It stalls.
Yeah.
Or worse, it dies. The risk for the buyer shifts from, is your product good, to, is your governance acceptable?
And that brings us straight to extraterritoriality. This is where so many companies get caught out, right?
Yes.
If I'm based entirely in Johannesburg or Sao Paulo, why on earth does an EU law apply to me?
Because the act was deliberately designed with this incredibly broad reach. It's very similar in principle to the GDPR.
Ah, okay.
It is absolutely not confined to companies with an EU headquarters. The key is where the impact is felt. If you are a provider placing an AI system on the EU market, you're in scope, period.
So it's not about where my server is located or where my company is registered?
Not at all.
It's all about the customer.
Precisely. If your servant is used by people in the EU, you are on the hook for compliance. So for instance, if you build a large language model and make it available for EU businesses to use,
you're in scope.
You're in scope. If you sell a platform with automated decision-making to a German company, you're a provider. You're in scope. Your headquarters could be on the moon. It's the location of the customer or the end user that matters.
And this leads directly to those specific commercial risks our sources kept flagging. If I'm on a sales team, what are the actual questions that are going to become these deal-losing gating factors, as they call them?
Yeah, these are the 4 horsemen of the EU risk questionnaire. If you can't answer them with verifiable documents, you fail the test before you even get to price.
Okay, lay them out for us.
1, where exactly is AI used in your product? And that means everything, not just the big flashy features. 2, what data does that AI touch? And is that data lineage clear and documented?
Right.
3, how is the AI monitored? For performance, for bias, for risk, what are the actual metrics?
And the last one?
And 4, the big one, who is accountable? What is the human oversight mechanism? Who's the human in the loop?
So if a growing tech firm in South Africa can't answer those questions quickly and credibly.
They're not just risking a fine down the line, they're risking commercial exclusion today. And that is the bigger, more immediate threat.
And that pressure doesn't just stop with them, right? It goes down the chain.
That's the downstream effect, yeah,
Uh,
to supply chain complexity. EU customers will, and in fact must, push their own regulatory obligations down to their suppliers.
so what does that look like in practice? What changes for me, the supplier?
It means you're going to start seeing brand new questionnaires from your clients' legal and risk teams. Questionnaires that ask for AI-specific documentation you've never had to produce before.
And sales cycles get longer.
Dramatically longer. And renewals, they won't be simple anymore. They'll have new clauses demanding audit rights into your systems or mandatory incident response times specifically for AI failures.
So we're not waiting for a regulator to knock. We're waiting for the procurement office to just send back the form.
That's it. It reframes the whole thing from a legal problem to a commercial viability problem. It's the cost of entry.
Okay, that squeeze is crystal clear. Let's switch gears to the mechanics, the timeline. When exactly is this pressure going to hit? Because the staggered deadlines are, I think, a huge source of confusion.
Absolutely. And the confusion is part of the design, really. It's a phased rollout. Think of it like a multi-stage rocket launch, not one big red button.
Right. So what are the stages we need to know about?
Stage 1 is already in the past. Early obligations, things like prohibited AI practices, applied from February 2025.
Prohibited practices, like what?
Things the EU considers just too dangerous. Certain types of social scoring, manipulative techniques. So you already need to have audited your systems to make sure you're not selling any of that into the EU.
So some rules have been active for months. What's next?
Stage 2 was mid-2025. The rules for general-purpose AI models kicked in on August 2nd, 2025.
So the big foundation models.
Exactly. If you provide those LLMs, image generators, whatever, you've had to start implementing technical documentation, quality management systems, all that stuff.
And a final big commercial deadline.
That's stage 3, August 2nd, 2026. That's when the bulk of the rules for high-risk systems apply. This is the date procurement teams have circled in red.
So if you're deemed high risk, you have to be fully compliant by then.
Fully compliant. But the thing is, if you wait until mid-2026 to start, you are way too late. Your biggest customers are future-proofing their supply chains right now.
That timeline is so important. And it leads to what our sources called the "we just use it" trap.
Yes.
The idea that, hey, we just integrated a chatbot from a big provider. The compliance is on them, not us.
That kind of thinking is commercially just incredibly dangerous. If your product relies on any external AI, a foundation model, automated scoring, a chatbot, you have to understand your role as the deployer.
But why? I mean, if the model provider is compliant, why do I have to worry?
Because your buyer doesn't care who owns the model. They care about how you have controlled its use responsibly inside your specific application.
So it's about my implementation of it.
Exactly. You're the one integrating it into a sensitive user journey.
Yeah.
So you have to provide assurance that you've put guardrails around it. And this is where the risk tiering becomes so practical.
Can you break that down? When does the level of governance expected from me suddenly get much, much higher?
The bar is raised dramatically if the AI touches a sensitive context. The Act defines high risk based on purpose and context.
Okay, so what are those contexts?
Think about things like hiring or employee performance management, assessing creditworthiness, systems used in education like grading, biometric ID, or safety components in cars or medical devices.
So if my company's software screens, resumes, or scores loan applications for EU customers, I'm in the deep end immediately.
You are. And that requires rigorous, auditable compliance. But even if you're not high risk, say you use AI for basic text summaries, you're not totally off the hook.
What are the demands for that lower risk stuff? What are the table stakes?
Even there, transparency and basic controls are becoming standard. You have to clearly label that AI is being used. You have to have some form of human oversight to make sure the outcomes are reasonable.
So even for the simple stuff, you can't just set it and forget it.
No. If you can't quickly show that your staff understands the limits of the AI they're using, and that there's a human review process, you can still lose the deal. The question is no longer about abstract compliance. It's simply, can you prove you're managing AI risk?
Which brings us perfectly to the action plan. We know the pressure is coming. We know it's global. If I'm a business leader listening to this, what should I be doing this quarter to get ready? Our sources laid out 4 really concrete steps.
And these 4 steps are the roadmap. If you do this, you'll be closing deals in 2026 while your competitors are still scrambling.
Step 1. Build an AI inventory. This sounds simple, but I'm guessing most businesses have no idea just how much AI is embedded in their tools.
It needs to be exhaustive.
Yeah.
And you have to look beyond the obvious. It's not just your big in-house machine learning models. It's every third-party tool, every internal pilot, every seemingly harmless feature like smart suggestions or auto summaries.
What's the rule of thumb? How do I know what goes on the list?
The criteria is this. If it can influence a customer outcome, a SCAF decision, or a data flow involving an EU client, it belongs on that inventory.
Okay, so we have this big, probably scary list. What's step 2?
Step 2 is to classify. You turn that inventory into a priority map. You ask 2 simple questions for every item. First, is this used by EU clients, EU employees, or EU end users? If yes, your exposure is high.
And the second question.
Second, does it meaningfully affect people's rights or opportunities? Does it look like one of those high-risk categories we just talked about?
So you're creating a simple map. High exposure, high risk versus high exposure, low risk.
Exactly. It lets you focus your limited resources on the things that pose the biggest commercial threat first. You're not boiling the ocean.
Brilliant. Okay, so we have a list. We've prioritized it. Step 3 is about being ready for that sales call, creating an AI trust pack.
This is the deliverable. This is the essential procurement document you hand over to those risk teams. It needs to be short, practical, and answer all those gating questions we discussed.
So what's the core content? What's in the pack?
It needs to clearly outline what the system does, what data it uses, how you protect that data, how humans oversee the outcomes, how you monitor performance.
Bias, drift, accuracy.
All of it. And crucially, what's your process for incident response when something goes wrong? This isn't marketing fluff. It's your auditable evidence of governance.
You know, this sounds like a massive amount of work. Isn't it just easier for a smaller company to just write off the EU market?
That's a real consideration.
Yeah.
But our sources suggest that's a huge mistake. First, you're forfeiting a massive market. But second, these governance standards are quickly becoming global best practice. The US, Canada, other regions are moving in the same direction.
So this trust pack isn't just for the EU.
It's becoming the new cost of doing business in any major developed economy. It's a competitive investment.
Which leads right to the final step, number 4, updating your own contracts and vendor management.
This is so critical. Your trust pack is only as strong as your weakest supplier. If you rely on a third-party AI, you have to ensure that they can give you the documentation that your customers are about to demand from you.
So I have to start auditing my suppliers on their AI governance.
Absolutely. You have to update your vendor contracts. You have to mandate that they give you clarity on their training data, their testing, their incident response. If your EU customer demands audit rights from you, you need to have the right to audit your own suppliers.
It's a chain of accountability.
A continuous, enforceable chain. Because if a bias is found in a component you outsourced, you're the one facing the immediate commercial fallout.
This has been incredibly helpful, really cutting through the legal jargon to what matters. Market access. So let's just synthesize this one last time for everyone listening.
The EU AI Act is setting a new global standard for how serious organizations buy and govern artificial intelligence. It's not optional. The real risk isn't fines, it's commercial exclusion. It's being quietly dropped from shortlists because you can't prove you're responsible.
But there's a huge upside here, isn't there? This is also a differentiator.
It is the ultimate competitive advantage. If you build this inventory, if you compile this documentation pack now, you turn all this regulatory pressure into trust.
And trust sells.
You move faster through procurement. You look like the reliable, trustworthy partner in a very crowded market. As one of our sources put it, in 2026, trust will close deals faster than hype.
That is a powerful line.
It is. And it leaves us with one final provocative question for you, the listener, to really think about.
Go on.
If you couldn't easily pull together a basic AI trust pack today for your most exposed systems, what are the cascading commercial implications? Not just of losing one deal, but of permanently losing efficient access to a major global market that is now demanding proof, not just promises. Your action this quarter really does define your market access in 2026.